गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादे पश्यत्यादिशतारिणे नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे पश्यत्यादिशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा जय श्री कृष्ण
चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर
शिवासादि गौर
भक्तवृंदा
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा
श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Nittai Gaura Hari Bol,
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol,
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol.
Jaya Guru Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol.
Nittai Gaura Hari Bol.
Oh. Very nice positioning of the screen. Everybody could see. We don't have to do this whole shifting around of everybody like we usually do. Except there's probably some people will come later. So those of you that can slide over this way, so we make space, so we can do it now instead of later. This young girl, come on over. Thank you very much. We may have to do it one more time. Who knows? Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Vimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama. We don't want to treat you like a sack of potatoes. It's not like she feels a little insulted or something. It's just to be kind to people that come a little bit later. So you're making a little sacrifice. This is to you. Pay attention. This is a lesson in being a little courteous of other people, that they're a little late, so they could sit up on the counter or off in the kitchen or something, but it's just being courteous of them. That's all. I hope you're not hurt. Okay. I think she's hurt. She'll get over it, though. Continuing with some anticipation of Lord Ramachandra's appearance date this coming Sunday. And we'll be pretty well prepared. There's so many topics, just like the other evening, those prayers from Canto 9, Chapter 10, prayers. So there's a whole chapter of prayers. We only got started. So this is one of the very important personalities in Ramayana, Vibhisana surrender. This is a little reminder of something I've already said, but one of the plans for the Kartik month to accommodate the devotees in China that can't get a visa to go to India, so we're plan, Krishna permitting, we'll be having a yatra in Sri Lanka and discuss Sundarakanda and in Sri Lanka. And after the Chinese devotees, we have little gathering. There'll be a japa retreat in Sri Lanka, and then for the people that come from India and all over the world. And then we'll have another 10-day yatra during the Kartik month in Sri Lanka, discussing the rest of Sundarakanda and Uttarakhanda. And one of the guest speakers is Vidvan Gauranga Prabhu. I've not met him. I've read his writings. He's a disciple of Jayapataka Maharaj, and I believe he lives in Mayapur or near Mayapur. And he's writing, like a several volume, extensive commentary, gathering commentaries from miscellaneous acharyas on Ramayana. He's a Ramayana fan. Not just fan, he's very knowledgeable in Ramayana. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. So he selected his topic. His topic is going to be the 18 principal lessons of Ramayana from Govindaraj. Some of you, any of you from South India, you know who Govindaraj is? Those of you that don't know, attend, or even if you don't attend, you could know by YouTube. Govindaraj is a Sri Vaishnava Acharya that's the number one foremost authority and extensively wrote on Ramayana. So he's the topmost of all the writers or authorities on Ramayana. And one of the writings is he has listed 18 principal lessons from the Ramayana, and one of them is Vibhisana surrender. So that's our topic this evening. And you want to hear all the other 17, you can attend or virtually or in person. That's Sri Lanka Yatra. So here's a little family tree from Lord Brahma. Many direct sons. One of those direct sons was Palasya Muni. Palasya Muni became a grahastha. He married the daughter of the sage Trinabindu, and there was one illustrious son named Vishrava. Vishrava had a son named Vaishravana, who became Kuvera. Vaishravana became Kuvera. So he had his wife was the daughter of Bharadraj Muni. So a Brahmana marrying a Brahmani had a very qualified son, Vaishravana, who became Kuvera. Now, what happened was there was a Rakshasa named Sumali, and Sumali did some quick math. If my daughter, Kaikashi was his daughter, if Kaikashi were to marry Vishrava, we could have very powerful offspring. So that he sent his daughter, this isn't the normal way that marriage is arranged, but he sent his daughter to go plead on her own behalf to become the wife of Vishrava. And Vishrava was in the midst of a yajna when she came. She didn't know she was the daughter of a Rakshasa, but she came at the wrong time. And he agreed because she had made this proposal. However, he said, you came at a very inauspicious time. We'll see a nice painting illustrating what I'm describing. You came at a very inauspicious time. You don't interrupt yajnas. So the answer is yes, but you'll have 3 sons as demons. And she, oh, no, I want a nice son. So very well, one nice son will be Vibhisana. So all of that is, Vibhisana is the son, one of the 4 sons, 3 sons plus 1 sister of Kaikashi and the Brahmana Vishravas, which means he is the son of a Brahmana father and a Rakshasa mother. And the other two sons, or his brothers, took on the qualities like the mother or the family from which he came. So that was Dasagriva. The first son was born with 10 heads. You seen anybody born with 10 heads? she shy or what's going on? She doesn't understand English? Really? Do you understand English? Have you ever seen anybody born with 10 heads? Well, dasa means 10 and griva means neck. So he had 10 necks, so means he had 10 heads. That's like one of the names of the personality of God is Hayagriva. Yeah, the horse head, horse neck. So this is Dasagriva. And later he became Ravana. We'll hear a little bit about how he became Ravana. And then another giant brother named Kumbhakarna and Vibhisana. So Vibhisana is known for a couple of things, especially. He was a fully surrendered personality. Atmanivedana was his, of the 9 processes of bhakti, he had the number 9, the full self-surrender. When he came before Lord Ramachandra, this is how he introduced himself. Abandoning Lanka, friends and possessions, I place my kingdom, life, and happiness at your disposal. I am yours, and everything that's mine is yours. Atmanivedana. So from Govindaraja, these 18 cardinal lessons is number 6, depending on the devotees of the Supreme Lord as exemplified by Vibhisana. So we'll hear, those of us that will be attending that yatra will hear Vidvan Gauranga explain. I'm sure he's going to, he's a very good writer, so I'm sure he's a very good speaker too. He'll explain this principle in some detail. We heard already about this deity of Mula Sitaram. Remember that one? Raise your hand if you remember Mula Sitaram. And if you don't remember it, maybe you didn't attend. But there was an original Sitaram deity that was gifted, it was worshipped by the family, by the family in which, by the Surya dynasty, by Ikshvaku, given to Ikshvaku by his father, and taken to this earthly realm to rule in Ikshvaku, in Ayodhya, and then passed on. And they ended up, we heard this description, it was eventually passed on to Madhvacharya. So the original deity in the Surya dynasty is now being worshipped in Udupi. The Mula Sitaram deity. And Sita is very short. Ram is very tall, remember? Now some more you're remembering. Okay, good. In addition to Mula Sitaram, there was another deity that came through Ikshvaku from Lord Brahma, and that is the deity of Lord Ranganath. So Lord Ranganath originally appeared to Lord Brahma at the beginning of this particular day of Brahma, and he in turn passed it on to the sun god to Vibhisana to Manu to Ikshvaku, and Ikshvaku brought that deity to Ayodhya. So that same Ranganath that's in huge deity and huge temple was previously in Ayodhya. But what happened was, after the battle was completed, and Vibhisana was there for the very end to bring Ramchandra back, then Ramchandra, after the installation of Ramachandra as the king in Ayodhya, he was saying goodbye to Vibhisana, and he gave Vibhisana the Pushpaka Vimana, because he had borrowed it and now he's returning it, going back to Lanka. And you can take the deity with you. this ancestral Surya dynasty from Lord Brahma, Sri Ranganath. And as the deity was passing over by the banks of the river Kaveri, the deity decided that the deity wanted to be worshipped there. So when the deity wants to be worshipped somewhere, what do you say? Yes, sir. So the Pushpa Kavimana descended. The deity was placed by the side of the river Kaveri, but the deity decided to face in a southerly direction, and deities don't face in a southerly direction except Ranganath, and with the guarantee that he would give protection to Vibhisana and his mercy to Vibhisana by glancing upon the place where he would reside. So that's what happened. And there's the deity of Ranganath, very large deity, with Shri Bu and Nila. There's the festival deity, Utsav Murtis. And there's a close-up. There he is, reclining. And the next image is at the very top. That's Vishravas engaging in a yagya. You see in front of him, he's doing a yagya. And while he's right in the middle of the yagya, here comes Kaikashi, of all people, sent by her father to petition this Brahmana, super qualified Brahmana, to become her husband. And he agreed, but he gave this prediction: you're going to have sons that are cruel and horrific demons. No, no, no. So he yielded and said, very well, your youngest of the three sons will be virtuous, like his father. So at the bottom, there she is. There's Hiranyakashipu with the 10 arms, 20 arms, and 10 heads. Behind him, the tall one, that's Kumbhakarna. Behind Kumbhakarna, that's Shurpanakha. And then on her lap is the youngest one, Vibhisana. So there's the 4 children that became Kaikashi's children. And Dasagriva later became known as Ravana, because one of the things that Ravana did is he was using his superlative strength to conquer everyone. He went to Kailash and started lifting the mountain of Kailash, and Parvati became very disturbed. And so Lord Shiva said, don't worry, it's just his fellow trying to lift the mountain. He pressed his toe on the mountain, and he pressed the mountain down, and the body of Dasagriva was bulging, and anyways, he was roaring. It was so much pain. But he started singing with as many hands and playing musical instruments, and Lord Shiva relented and lifted his foot and gave him a second name, Ravana, one with a loud roar. And there's his second brother, Kumbhakarna, huge fellow, and all 3 of them underwent austerities. In Kumbhakarna's austerities, he wanted sleep, so he got sleep. And Vibhisana underwent austerities, and that's not what he wanted. He wanted pure devotion to the personality of Godhead. Ravana performed austerities to rule the 3 worlds. Kumbhakarna received the benediction of sleep. Look how big his body is. When they had to wake him up, there was horns and elephants trampling on him and hitting him with sticks and prodding him with pokers, and he would wake up. Vibhisana wanted the benediction to always serve the Supreme Lord. He was unlike his 2 brothers and sister. Here's this description in Valmiki Ramayana. For 5,000 years, Vibhisana stood on 1 foot. When he completed that, he had another 5,000-year vow where he gazed steadily upwards at the sun. standing with his arms raised above his head and chanting mantras. I mean, it's a little bit like what Hiranyakashipu did, but different. Hiranyakashipu wasn't chanting mantras. Austerity was a thing of the time. And when the benediction came, this was his request. May every thought that I may have in each and every stage of my life in this world be supremely righteous. And may I always uphold the righteous conduct appropriate at every stage. That's a little different than the two brothers. But they had their nature, and his was a spiritual nature. And because he was the younger brother, he followed the custom and the culture that the younger brother would serve the elder brother. He had these 4 ministers. We'll hear some more about these 4 ministers. And his elder brother made an arrangement for his marriage. And his marriage was to Sarama. And Sarama was the daughter of a great king of the Gandharvas. So she was a virtuous lady married to a virtuous husband. Here's how she got her name. She was born on the shore of Lake Manasa during one rainy season. And her mother was calling out to the lake, Sarama. And then the name stuck. The child was born and named Sarama. She was very helpful during the course of Ramayana. This is the Pushpaka Vimana, in case you didn't recognize it. When Vibhisana learned that Ravana had kidnapped so many girls, he approached his brother and said, "This act of yours is very sinful and unbecoming of our good family." He tried. Already, as a reaction to your wickedness, your own aunt, Kumbhinashi, has been kidnapped by another Rakshasa named Madhu. So there's reaction to sinful activity. And who is she? There's one explanation. She was the unmarried daughter of Malyavan, who was the uncle of Ravana's mother. We heard her name Kashi, Kashi. And this mother-in-law was residing in Ravana's palace, and the unmarried Kumbhinashi was kidnapped by a Rakshasa right from his palace. So now we're focusing on the surrender of Vibhisana, and there's a detail I like, so I'm including it. After Hanuman did what Hanuman did, he met Vibhisana. After he met with Sita, he met with Vibhisana before he destroyed the garden, etc., etc., etc. He went to the home of Vibhisana, disguised as a Brahmana, because Hanuman had shape-changing abilities. He had mystic powers. The demigods gave him these powers, and he used them. So this is at least a painting indicating his meeting with Vibhisana. And Vibhisana, right away, he was already, like from the get-go, he was devoted to the Supreme Lord. And he recognized the Brahmana, so the Brahmana was representing Brahman, and thus Vibhisana is offering his respect to Hanuman, and they had some nice exchange. Now, one of the things there's several things that Vibhisana did as services. One of them is when Hanuman, after he had his lengthy, wonderful, wonderful exchange with Sita, and she became pacified and convinced that he was truly representing Lord Ramachandra, and many, many things happened in their discussion together. He volunteered, "Let me take you back." "No, I can't ride in the back of a monkey. Ram has to come and redeem." So she declined, but she gave one of her ornaments, put it in Ram and in Hanuman's hand, "Show this to Ram so he'll know that we met because he knows this ornament. So Hanuman finished his mission, accomplished, but he was feeling, I have to do one more thing. I have to warn Ravana, you're going to get it. And so he did what he did. He started disrupting his superlative garden and tearing things up and making a big mess. And he sent guards and he smashed the guards. And eventually they caught him and tied him. So he allowed, because he wanted to have direct audience with Dasagriva or Ravana. And so he allowed himself to be tied up. And when he was tied up, he brought him before Ravana. And it was decided by Ravana that they would kill him. And then Vibhisana reminded Ravana, who was the son of a Brahmana after all. So he knew Brahminical, he knew standards of scripture. You can't, it's against codes of scripture, codes of a Kshatriya. You can't kill a messenger. You can punish him, you can cause him some difficulty, but you can't kill him. And so they decided that they wouldn't kill him, but they lit his tail on fire. Some soaked rags and tied the soaked rags to his tail and lit the tail. And so because monkeys like their tail, that was the rationale. So he'll scream and wheel, make a lot of noise, and he'll go back and tell Ramachandra, they burnt my tail. But Hanuman, something else happened. He burnt down the city of Lanka and killed so many soldiers and so many other things. So after all of that happened, then there was a big huddle. There was a big conference in this royal assembly of Ravana, and what to do. 3 times, Vibhisana spoke so clearly, so reasonably, and quite strongly to Ravana, just give Sita back. It's real simple, and your trouble is over. First time he said, let me think about it. That was a step in the right direction. And then he came back and said it the second time in the assembly. And Ravana was infuriated, and he said it again a third time. And the third time, if you weren't my brother, I would kill you. I'm driving you away. And so he decided, very, very similar to Vidura, who also tried to give reason to his elder brother, the younger brother trying to give reason to the elder brother who was most unreasonable. Duryodhana wouldn't listen, Ravana wouldn't listen. So this is nice. I like this. Vibhisana also had powers. I mean, it's a big deal. Hanuman crossing the sea, 8 yojanas, 80 miles. It's a whole big thing. But Shurpanakha went back and forth twice. And Vibhisana also had already, gone once. He just rose up from the assembly and took off, flying in the air. And right behind him were his 4 ministers. So it wasn't the first time Hanuman crossing the sea, but it was specifically in the mood of service to Ram that made it so glorious and so wonderful. And the obstacles that were met when he was trying to cross the sea, which was symbolic or with meaning of obstacles that someone's in the service of the Supreme Lord. It's not always a piece of cake. Sometimes there's obstacles and categories of obstacles. So he rose from the assembly, followed by his 4 ministers, and off he goes. So here's where he's falling at the feet of the 10-headed Dasagriva Ravana. The 4 ministers are behind. Here's Ravana insulting and kicking his brother in the chest. And so Vibhishan, we're getting to the main point here. Vibhishan comes to surrender. Now the painting shows he's just hovering in the air because he doesn't come in for a landing yet, and the 4 ministers are behind him. But he really doesn't meet Ramachandra right away. Who does he meet? The representative of Ramachandra, Sugriva. So there's Sugriva, and there's Vibhishan, and Vibhishan relays a message to Ramachandra through Sugriva. He never met Sugriva, but he understands that he's representing Ramachandra, and he's asking permission through Sugriva. It's important. He's approaching the place of shelter through the emissary or the messenger of the place of shelter. And if the messenger comes back with the message, yes, then he's accepted. And if he comes back with a message, no, or maybe, he isn't accepted yet. So it's through the medium of, that's the important detail. So Sugriva obediently goes to ask Ramachandra, here's this request, and Ramachandra being a qualified ruler, he doesn't just decide without consulting, he consults. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? I mean, he already knows, but he's consulting because this is proper conduct for a leader. And especially Sugriva and others, one by one, they give their opinion. Sugriva's the one with the crown on his head, the monkey with the crown on his head. And behind Ramachandra, who's got this nice little beard, just the artist's creative depiction. And behind him is Lakshman, and there's Jambavan. And so they're having this discussion. And, each have their opinion. And Sugriva particularly thinks he's ill-motivated. How long has he been with Ravana? And Ravana's a bad guy. And how can you be a good guy when you're in the bad company of a bad guy and serving a bad guy for so long? You've got to have bad motivations. He knows that Ravana's going to get beaten badly, and he wants the kingdom. He wants Ravana's kingdom. That's why he came, etc., etc., etc. He's doubting his motives. And so it goes around and around. You see in the upper right corner, that's the 4 ministers and Vibhishan just waiting for the verdict. And everyone gives their opinion except Hanuman. So Ram asks Hanuman, what's your opinion? It is a very beautiful section. Very beautiful section. I mean, in essence, he says there's no discussion because Ram has already accepted him because that's his nature. So he's looking at the object of bhakti, object of devotion, and because of his bhakti, he understands the object. The subject understands the object. And he's already accepted him because he's just giving himself in surrender. And Ramachandra acknowledges. And he acknowledges in the following way. It's very nice. In the past, he tells the story of a dove that gave shelter to an eagle. Even the eagle had killed the dove's wife. It's a long story. Then he quoted the words of sage Kundu, a son of the sage Kanva, who is known to have spoken on the virtue of giving shelter to anyone who subordinates themselves to a person who is capable of giving shelter. And there's flaw, dosha, there's fault in not doing so when you have the capacity to give someone shelter. All of these words were spoken to help calm Sugriva's apprehension. He's got some other motives. Doesn't matter what his motives are. I mean, he didn't doubt his motives like Sugriva did, but it doesn't matter. So it goes on. Sugriva says some other things and some other things and some other things. And then Ram makes this very important. This is all about Vibhishan's surrender. That's the topic for this evening. Then Ram closes the whole situation by indicating to Sugriva, particularly he's the most vocal one, even if he has these ill motivations like you're thinking, I have transcendental potency. So he's revealing his divinity along with his compassion. Virya Shakti. Virya means strength, prowess, capacity in fighting. And unlimited strength, unlimited prowess. And then his nature of compassion implies that virya together with compassion. Here's the statement from Uttarakhanda. Very nice. It's the Sanskrit is here. It is my vow that if only once one seriously surrenders unto me, saying, my dear Lord, from this day I am yours, and prays to me for courage, I shall immediately award courage to that person, and he will always remain safe from that time on. Very important statement, such an important statement. In Sri Vaishnavism, it's considered the Charama Sloka, or the highest teaching. They have this language. Highest teaching, the essence teaching of the whole Ramayana is this one, according to Sri Vaishnavas. Now, it's a detail, but as happens, sometimes there's disagreement amongst acharyas. And sometimes that disagreement amongst acharyas becomes a problema, mucha problema. And it ended splitting Sri Vaishnavism. There were some that said just once, and Ram said it. It's the Charama Sloka of the whole Ramayana. And others said, yes, that once means, it implies it's not just once, then you go off and do goofy things. You take shelter and you stay there. It's an ongoing process of surrender. Ma me kam sharanam, that similar Charama Shloka from Bhagavad Gita. Ma me kam. It's not once upon a time I surrendered to Krishna, so I can do what I like now. Because I surrendered to Krishna. Or I surrendered to Ram, so Haribol. Let's go party. It's not what it means. So there are persons that held that view. So it made a schism. And some went this way and some went that way. Without the detail, there's different schools in Sri Vaishnavism on this particular point. Is it a one-time deal or is it an ongoing deal? So Ram then, rather than he saying, I'll go to I'll go to Vibhishan, you go. I want you to go, and you personally invite Vibhishan to come forward, because it was through you that Vibhishan desired to take shelter of me. And so Sugriva, not just a yes man, blind yes man, he's now convinced of the power, the virya, Shakti, and the compassion. And that Ramchandra has, like Hanuman said, he has already accepted him. Because Hanuman, in his service to Sugriva, was a minister. Sugriva is the king, rightfully, amongst the Vanaras. And he had a minister who the king is supposed to look up to and not give orders to. So the minister is saying, Ram has already accepted him. And Ram confirmed, yes, I've already accepted him. It's done. Nothing really to talk about. We'll talk about it, but there's nothing really to talk about. So Sugriva is convinced. So Sugriva does what Ram says. He went and brought Vibhishan, and Ramchandra blessed Vibhishan. It's very nice. They're the 4 associates of Vibhishan standing behind him with clubs on their shoulder. And hit 4 ministers. This is important. According to the Sri Vaishnavacharyas, these 4 ministers represent something. 2 represent the qualities of the one who is receiving the shelter or giving the shelter, and the other 2 are representing those who are taking shelter. Convenient. So the 4 elements of surrender, because this is our topic, Vibhisana, surrender. And they're the Sharanagata, the one who's taking shelter. And there's 2 characteristics. I have no other shelter. Akinchana tvam. Akinchana tvam. Tvam means ness, or having the quality of something. Akinchana, I have no other shelter. I possess nothing. And it's just stating the same thing in reverse. Ananya gativam. I have nowhere else to go to take shelter. I fully repose my shelter in the Sharanya. That's you, the person giving me shelter. You are my only shelter. I have no other shelter. It's like, I desire only Krishna. I don't desire anything but Krishna. Where else do you go? You take shelter of Krishna. And then there's one who gives shelter. There's 2 qualifications. We'll spend a little bit of time on these 2. He gives shelter to anyone without any consideration who they are. The Saralata means there's simplicity and Shakti. He can afford to do the above because he's all-powerful. Virya Shakti was already discussed. We're going to hear a little bit more about it. This simplicity factor, Ram gives shelter to anyone without consideration of who they are, where they come from. This is an important teaching, like what Srila Prabhupada did. He accepted persons whose background was not nice. And his godbrothers, when he came back to India, they criticized him. You've given initiation, Gayatri initiation, sannyas initiation to people that were fallen. No, Bhaktisiddhanta did the same thing. This coming Wednesday is Ramanujacharya's appearance day. Yes, Wednesday? Wednesday? Ramanujacharya's appearance day. And he did the same thing, Kanchipuram. He accepted as his guru someone who was low-born, but he was qualified, so he accepted him as guru. And his wife was one of these snooty ladies. Whoops. Because he wasn't born in a Brahmin family like she was born in a Brahmin family, she looked down upon him. And she insulted him in various ways. Ramanujacharya took shelter of the higher road and left the lower road. He just left her because she was offensive to a Vaishnava. And they got elevated. So, Ramachandra similarly gave shelter to, there's a little list of who he gave shelter to. But background doesn't matter. Janma doesn't matter. But one's quality matters. He's approachable by all irrespective of their background or mundane identity. So here's a picture of so many Vanaras. But not only Vanaras, he gave shelter to a bird, Jatayu, a forest hunter, Guha, Sugriva, a monkey, Jambavan, a bear, a squirrel. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. This is like different species, what to speak of persons who don't have high birth and, apparently good qualification. They simply take shelter of him and he's ready to give shelter. And he has the capacity to do so. He has a Shakti. He is so powerful. as one of so many examples, single-handedly, he defeated the soldiers in Janistan. If you look carefully at the painting, there's a cave up on the upper right, just below the branch of the tree. There's Sita being protected by Lakshmana. So when the warriors were coming, Ram said, "You protect Sita, and I'll deal with these 14,000 warriors." 14,000 warriors, including very powerful generals. So Vibhisana indicated that he has the power and he can give shelter. Ramachandra was indicating, I have the power. I can give this shelter because I have the capacity to give shelter from anything, from anyone, from any other opposition. Then this is additional, aside from these 4 associates or ministers of Vibhisana. Gratitude, this is just additional commentary by Acharyas, and we're coming close to finishing this evening. Lord Ram felt gratitude for even minute service or feelings of love that we may have for him. He is the personification of shelter, of Dharma. So those that approached him, he felt gratitude. In addition to compassion, he felt lots and lots of gratitude, and therefore shelter to those who took shelter of him. And he kept his word. There's a very nice statement in Aranyakanda. Sita, I will let go of my life, you and even Lakshmana, but I will never let go of an oath that I have given to my devotees. He keeps his word. Once upon a time, I was a new devotee. Seems like a few lifetimes ago. And before initiation, there was this saying that was being passed around. I assume it came from Prabhupada or otherwise. But there was this saying that was floating around. Man is only as good as his word. Have you heard that one before? A man is only as good as his word. If you give your word, you keep your word. Be careful when you give your word. When you take an oath or you say you're going to do something, a man is only as good as his word. You'll say the opposite. Some persons that say yada, 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 and they do whatever they want to do. It's not what they say. You don't take it seriously. There's not much worth in the words of such a person. But he, Ramachandra, once he gives his word, that's it. That's it. Mamekam sharanam. That's it. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksha yashami masucha. That's his word. There's a precondition, surrender, and then there's something that he does. Even with a faint degree of surrender to Lord Ramachandra, he recognizes it. So here's a nice painting. There's Lakshmana on the lower left, giving some mark on the forehead of Vibhisana, and there's Ramachandra receiving the obeisances of Vibhisana. There's 4 ministers standing behind him, and the Vanaras in the audience. Looks like some of them are playing. And so he anoints him as the king of Lanka, because he knows, Ramachandra knows, that he is going to be victorious and defeat Ravana, and they have to have somebody ruling the kingdom after Ravana is defeated. So Vibhisana is made the king even before they go. And look who's offering the Abhishek, Lakshmana. And there's many words that Vibhisana speaks before the close of this wonderful event, his coronation event. And then, because Ramachandra is now relying upon his servant, he's the personality of God. He doesn't need anybody's opinion about anything, but he asks Vibhisana's advice, because that's the kind of ruler he is. What do you suggest is the best way to cross the ocean to defeat Ravana's army? And he suggests, Vibhisana suggests, that Samudra can help you. So Ramchandra decides, you know the story. How many days? 3 days? He sat fasting. And Samudra didn't come, and Samudra didn't come, and Samudra didn't come. So Ramachandra decided, I think I need a little stronger approach. So there's different versions of Ramayana. Some says he glanced, some says he fired an arrow, and the ocean began to boil. How do you boil a pot of water? That's one thing, but boil the ocean. And Samudra came forward with palms folded and said, I didn't know who you were. Now I know who you are. Please tell me what service you would like. Yes, I would like to cross the ocean, please. And so an arrangement was made, and they crossed the ocean, and that's the end of this particular evening session on Vibhishan surrender, because he surrendered, and then after surrender, didn't like that's it. He's now in the mood of service in surrender. Before, he was in the mood of serving, as is culture, to serve the elder brother, even knowing the elder brother is a Rakshasa and, undisciplined. Although his elder brother knew scripture, so he could say some scriptural things, and sometimes he could listen, but sometimes he couldn't hear because he was attached to the beauty of Sita, etc., etc. He couldn't let go. So now he's serving the personality of Godhead directly. And that's the byproduct, or the concomitant with the surrender comes the service. They're very valuable lessons in Ramayana. And I can't recall if one of the classes I'm going to be presenting, I think it is, has some of those layers of lessons. That within the story, there's dharma, within the dharma, there's rasa, there's all kinds of nice things going on. And if they're not pointed out, it's a nice story. Very charming, very attractive, very sweet, very easy to remember. Little kids can know the story and tell it backwards and forwards. But then, what does it mean? How does it strike the heart? It really helps to have the commentary of our acharyas to illuminate all those nice things. But even if we don't know all those nice things, they're there, and it's having an impact on the heart. And that's one of the beautiful things about Hari Katha or Krishna Katha or Ram Katha, is even if we don't understand everything, it's okay. There's purification going on many levels. And as much as we can understand, that's what we understand. And as much as we understand, then comes the service that is in keeping with what we understand. That's a big one. Commonly, there's a big gap between what we know and how we live our lives. That's called, practice of devotional service. So it's good to appreciate the lessons and the examples set, because it gives us like a target to shoot for, an objective, a role model not to imitate but to follow. This. So the Vibhishan surrender, one more time, it's one of the 18 cardinal lessons of the entire Ramayana, and it's a very important topic, very important component of Valmiki Ramayana. And what he does is very valuable. He continues going forward, giving advice to Ramchandra how to deal with Ravana. And eventually he goes back to Lanka and rules in Lanka. So he didn't just wipe out Lanka and leave it desolate. There's a qualified leader, ruler in place, Vibhisana. So let's see if there's some discussion. We've had some very nice discussions so far. I hope you're not all exhausted, questioned out or something. We're ready with the microphone. Here we go.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the class. I was just curious about how I see the resemblance between like the three brothers. I can see that like they are like Kumbhakarna is like mode of ignorance, the other one is mode of passion, and this is mode of
Very
like
good.
goodness.
Very good.
So is
More
it
than mode of
saying
goodness though? Transcendence. Go ahead.
yeah? So if is it saying that when we come here, we are coming with this three guna, and these three brothers are basically signifying us, and then we are, or is this giving some other message that we need to transcend?
It's
that?
just one of the layered messages. It's not like the message.
Yeah.
It's a piece that's part of the whole movie, the whole portrayal of Ram's Leela. He's dealing with this one. He's dealing with that one. You know, even Kumbhakarna is representing or is in the mode of ignorance, like sleep, 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 sleep. He has virtue. He speaks to his elder brother on standards of virtue. And said, you know, he says the same thing Vibhisana said. Why bring this difficulty upon yourself and all of us? You're my elder brother, I'll do, but just give Sita back. But he, you know, he didn't take the stand like Vibhisana did. But he understood this. All of this is because you're lusty. You can't control your lust. And so we're your instruments to get your lusty desire fulfilled. He had something within him that, you know, his father was a qualified father, so he had some understanding. But yeah, you know, zoned out in ignorance. Now, does that address your question?
My question was more about like, is it saying that we come in this positions and the only way we can transcend to the highest, come closer to God is through sattva, and that's how they are saying you have to be like Vibhishan, like among those three gunas. You come to the sattva and then you can go towards God.
Okay. It's not a 1-2 though. I'm just editing your vision. Without living our life of regulation, cleanliness, truthfulness, austerity, you know, goodness, Buddhists do the same thing. Very, very diligently, but without shelter. There's no concept of God, etc. It's just, you know, life of goodness, strong. And others and others and others without the list of others. There's others. There's strong emphasis on goodness without a conception of Vishvaksena Katasvaya no Padayad Yadiratim Shrama Evahi Kevalam. So I'm just editing in Bhagavatam language. It's not first and then. It's then, and as you're moving towards transcendence, goodness is a subset.
Thank you. Yeah.
You know, take vegetarianism, you know, aside from Buddhism. There are people that are very strict. Very strict. 90 persons aren't, but there's some persons very strict. Very, very particular about not just vegetarian, vegan. And they have their reasons and they're living by their value system, but they're not theistic. Now it's nice.
That's not the only thing I
Yeah, okay. So, yeah,
makes sense.
okay.
Thank
Something else? In the back?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
I go.
Thank you for a wonderful class. So my question is Saralata is like simplicity.
Is what? Simplicity.
Saralata.
Ah,
It is very important quality to continue, come closer to Krishna or Rama, and to sustain also we need that quality Saralata. Means, I'm just thinking that is the
they
Oh,
go together? Is that what you're saying?
it is an essential point for a devotee
Yeah.
to be Saralata. Otherwise, we wear different type of umbrellas, like hats.
Yeah.
I am this, I am that. I can do this, I can do that. So I like that point, and I want to like listen from you that it is very essential for a devotee.
Well, yes, confirmed. And then how to stay with it for the rest of your life. Commonly, in this, the current atmosphere, association makes for unsteadiness. The sine curve, up, and then laxity. And then back up again. So how to stay where it's steady? Simplicity. That's the shelter part. That's the shelter part. And shelter means the mood of service. So that mood of service keeps that connection intact, because we're always serving, because that's what souls do. But you serve what? The direction, an upwards direction, yes, but serve the Supreme. And then that keeps the simplicity intact. I'm just a little sharing on this note. I'm hearing a dramatic reading of Srila Prabhupada's travels in 1972. He was in Los Angeles, and he's doing his third round the world tour in a very flexible, spontaneous way. So straight from Los Angeles, he took a flight to Mexico City. And Chitsukananda was the president and did, fantastic job, reception, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. One of the places that they had Prabhupada stay was at a monastery, thinking it would be nice. And Shyamasundar is the author, and he was his Prabhupada's secretary, and he heard the bell. And when he heard the bell, it means, Prabhupada wanted him. So he came, and Prabhupada was seated in a chair, tears streaming down his eyes, looking at the wall and seeing a crucifix on the wall. A Catholic monastery with Christ nailed to a cross up on the wall. And Prabhupada was crying. And this is how they deal with their guru. They honor that he was crucified so that they can go on with their sins. Let's get out of here at once. So they packed up and they left. That was the softness of the simplicity of Prabhupada's heart. He just didn't want to stay there. He was so emotionally moved. So emotionally moved by, as a transcendentalist, you're supposed to be not so emotional like that, right? Crying and leaving, and it was a very nice place, and they treated him with all hospitality and dignity, and so forth and so on. But words in the book were let's get out of here. So simplicity of heart, principle oriented or aligned. And then you stay in that with that simplicity, even you're an elevated person or a little person, doesn't matter. Okay, something else? Uh-huh.
Krishna Maharaj.
All your questions have been really good. I'm sure this is going to be a good one too.
So if Ravana was he was doing bhakti of Lord Shiva, so
He wasn't doing bhakti. He was doing something to get something. That's not bhakti.
yeah, not bhakti, but he was like
A worshiper of.
like a worshiper of Shiva. So why did he did disrespect of Sita? And if
Well, it's not exactly, he was a worshiper of Lord Shiva. You remember, he went to Mount Kailash and with all of his 20 arms was lifting this mountain, knowing that Lord Shiva was on top of the mountain and the mountain was being disturbed. And Lord Shiva wasn't disturbed, but Parvati was disturbed. So it wasn't exactly a worshiper of. He was a nasty guy. And he was a lusty guy. So, when somebody is impelled by lust, you're a young girl, you don't know what all that is yet, but wait a while, and it comes, and then if one doesn't have a higher principle to go for, when that was Ravana, he knew what the higher principles were, but he was too lusty and too proud, and powerful. So he just got, whatever he wants. That's what he did. That's the kind of person he was. So it doesn't matter who he worshipped. It was him. He did us austerities and went to Brahma to get what he wanted. But I can't give you immortality. He can't give you immortality. So he just did a checkmate. Can't be killed this way, that way, the other way, the other way, the other way. I've got all the boxes covered, so I can't be killed. That means I'm immortal. Okay? Okay. Microphone heading.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. How does complete surrender to Krishna for a sadhaka looks like
What does it look like? Vibhisana, there's a good one.
in our daily routine life, keeping our responsibilities and duties in mind?
Well, the principle may be customized, so it's going to look a little different for each person, but the principle doesn't get customized. The principle doesn't change. It's just customized according to one's position. So what it looked like, there's the essence. We went to the essence. What Vibhisana said was that was full surrender. My kingdom, my possessions, my body, my words, my mind, my everything, they're yours. You may do with them what you wish because they're yours. So that's what it looks like. And for different persons, it's going to look a little different. Let's just take, take for an example. There are persons who are, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was fully surrendered. And he was a householder with 10 children. His son was a Naistika brahmachari, never married, and he fully surrendered. So it can look very, opposite ends of the spectrum, different.
There's a little follow-up on that. What is the first step we can keep in practice?
Well, keep in practice. So stay in devotee association, sadhu sangha, 2 words. And sadhu sangha doesn't mean just hanging out. Sadhu sangha means hearing, chanting, striving together to serve Krishna together. And then there's going to be difficulties because I'm different, they're different, or we have our differences, and sometimes differences rub against other differences. Sometimes they go fine, sometimes they rub. Stay in the association of devotees and respect differences. Don't expect no differences, because it's not impersonal, it's personal. And we're becoming purified together, Haribol. So you stay in sadhu sangha, you stay focused on the object or the objective, that is Krishna is to be pleased. And we have different ways of wanting to please Krishna. That's fine. It's not homogenized serving Krishna. It's with diversity serving Krishna. And respect the differences, because Krishna likes. Because Krishna likes, we like. And that's the standard of what we like, and what we live with is what Krishna likes. And if it's, if it's something that's disruptive, we can still be respectful of the differences and slowly, gently, appropriately, according to our position, etc., try to be an influencer in the direction of Krishna's interest first. And anything else is less than first. So that's what we do. We try.
Thank you, Maharaj.
As ISKCON Austin or ISKCON anywhere grows, what happens? Diversity increases because there's more people coming with different backgrounds and conditioning and tendencies and ideas and stuff. So the road may get a little bumpier as we go along because of diversity increases, but that's okay, because we have a higher principle that we're aiming towards, that Krishna should be pleased. And as much as that Krishna should be pleased principle, that's bhakti principle, as much as the bhakti principle is strong, then, whatever goes on is fine. During the period of turmoil, it's maybe not so fine. But in the end, it's fine because the goal is fine. And the process is the purifying process. So we go through the purifying process. It's like, Vibhisana, what he did. He's stuck by principle. And he tried and he tried and he tried. 3 strikes, you're out. He left. And when he went back, as the servant of Ramachandra. And in his case, it was battle with his brother. And he gave clues about, Ramachandra relied upon his intelligence, his savvy of what's going on over there. And he would consult with him, and Vibhisana would give his understanding. So he wasn't like a traitor. He was just, I'm the servant of Krishna over here. I'm the servant of the personality of Godhead over here, the servant of the personality of Godhead over there. And this is the better place to be. So let me be where this better place to be. Okay. Anything else? Way in the back?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So my question is, in this Hippocratic world, this nothing as a black and white as clear, like, this is right or wrong. So when people stand, they think they're in the right. but they tag them as a betrayal, and then they make it.
I'm having a hard time. You're all, most of you are householders. I don't see any sannyasis here. And I'm a sannyasi, and I'm not used to that sound. So if somebody that's back there can do something about that sound, the child sound, please do the needful. Because it's hard for me to focus on. Now try again. Start from the beginning.
Yeah, yes, Maharaj. So my question is, in this world, the Hippocratic world, there is nothing as clear as black and white, like what is right and wrong.
That's correct.
So when you make a choices and when you stand, the people, other people make you that okay, yes, you are doing it for your own purpose. You are betraying, and then that makes it sometimes even to stand on your own because of looking at the other people, and then they put you in the spot and then make you.
No, what they can't make you.
But they project it, right? They cannot make
They
it, but
can
they
project
can,
it,
yeah.
but they don't make you anything.
Yeah. So the question is that that makes it difficult when you're making a choice, though it's right, but circumstances are.
So what to do? That's the why, and then the what to do.
Yes.
Okay. Yadyaracharati Shreshtas, Tad Eve Tororjana. There are Shrestha, there are persons that are example setters. And you do that. The example setter is one that their life is for pleasing Krishna. And no, there's all kinds of diversity and decisions that had to be made, like you're saying, what's right and what's wrong and what's best amongst the right. And there's all kinds of, so we have to, some things we can pause, and some things you can't pause. Some things you can pause for a while, but then you have to act. It's a nice dilemma. You have to act. So supposing you're making a choice and somebody out there is saying blah, blah, blah. And inside, you're not really sure anyways, but you're making the best choice because you have to make a choice. So stay true to this is yoga. Alignment with the principle that Krishna should be pleased. And you're leaving yourself open to the Krishna signal that says, excuse me, but you're heading for the ditch. So it's good to have someone that's guiding you. There are different names for that in the Hare Krishna movement. A coach or a teacher or a shiksha guru or an elevated friend, a role model, different names. It's good to have people like that in your life, and good to have wholesome friends. And your wholesome friends are persons that tap you on the shoulder and say, you sure you want to do this? You see the ditch over there? You head right for the ditch. Did you factor, they're not instructing you, but they're a friend. So when you make decisions and it's not really clear, and the main part of your question is the naysayers, the people with their hands on their hips saying, yuck, you're ill-motivated, blah, blah, blah. That's going to go on. Prabhupada's phrase is, the dogs may bark, but the caravan will pass. You know that one, right? So you're just like be, foolishly proud, but you've done your homework, and you've consulted wise people, and you've tried to make a decision that's just in alignment with what is going to be pleasing to Krishna. And there can be 10 things that are pleasing to Krishna, and you got to pick one, because the time is up. You got to do one of those 10, and you're ready to adjust when the indication comes from the sources that you rely upon, and Super Soul, and Scripture. And Krishna's kind. He'll help you if you've made the wrong decision. And sometimes you make wrong decisions. And we take responsibility for our wrong decisions. But the intention of Krishna should be pleased should be what Krishna should be pleased. So that'll give you strength in the face of the naysayers, or the persons that are barking, or the fault finders, or the something people. Krishna should be pleased, and the representatives of Krishna should be particularly pleased, because that gives you an indication that Krishna is pleased. You follow that. And as you become more mature, something happens. Super soul gives better intelligence to make better decisions. And then you have now spiritual strength in addition to some conviction. And the people are still going to say stuff. The world of duality goes on. Okay?
Thank you, Maharaj. That's very nice.
The idea is to not become callous, but to be thoughtful and, with intelligence guiding, buddhi guiding your activities. And the buddhi comes from different sources, primarily from Super Soul and from Scripture, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. And you just do that and be happy. Okay, someone else way in the back, because the microphone's going to come forward. Oh, there you are.
Hi, Krishna Maharaj. A related question. One of the biggest lessons for me one of the biggest lessons for me from Ramayana was righteousness.
What's which?
Ram being the righteous leader, the epitome of righteousness, being right.
Being right.
What do you say, Arun?
Being overly attached to being the righteous one? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or Ram was not political, right? He would make the right decision, and forgive my ignorance, but in today's world, being righteous also comes with being politically correct.
No, that's not what righteous is.
And
that's not what righteous is.
Yes, how do we balance that? Because one of the lessons...
You just put that one, off to the side or in the garbage can. Politically correct. You consider it's not a zero, but it's almost a zero.
Right.
You should be aware, just like this prior question. Some people may think, blah blah blah. So if I'm going to decide to do this or speak that or something, take a path of action that's going in that direction, there's going to be some waves. Concentric circles out, yes, but there's going to be some waves. So you can at least be aware of what that is. But when you're clear what is going to be pleasing to Krishna, you smile, not bite the bullet. You smile, and you do that which is pleasing to Krishna. And then somebody says blah blah blah, and you smile. There's I'm just share something. It's humorous. There's in our farm community in Gitanagari in Pennsylvania, there's going to be a very nice devotee who is a Sanskrit scholar, Harvard University Sanskrit scholar. His name is Garuda Prabhu, Prabhupada disciple. And he is a co-speaker. And he's going to speak on, the topic is going to be Krishna's Leela in Braj, Krishna's Braja Leela. And he's going to speak on some very elevated topic, but he's going to make it, Krishna's Rasa Leela. But he's going to make it so it's understandable and not too esoteric and, goofy. So he's a funny person. He is going to, one of the points he's going to be making, I'll share with you in advance, is in translating something from Sanskrit to English, there's shades of meaning that it's really hard to get the right word in English, but the actual meaning in Sanskrit. because they're shades of meaning. And then he said that Western people have a more difficult time than Indian people, because Indian people are accustomed to words or concepts have shades of meaning. And he gave a little example. His example was head wobble. In India, somebody goes like this. And that can mean yes. Or it can mean no. Or it can mean yes and no. Or it can mean neither yes nor no. And then it can mean I don't know. It went on. It was like, got really funny. And it somehow he was making the point that the subtlety of the head wobble, somehow people know what that means without them saying anything. There's this subtlety thing. So now back to your question. If your intention, it's a relationship between you and Krishna. If your intention is that Krishna should be pleased, Krishna will know, and he can give you one of these, and you know what that means. Krishna is pleased, and somebody may not be pleased, and so it's okay, because Krishna knows. And then comes, how do you know that Krishna knows? So Guru Sadhu Shastra. And then your intention to be in alignment with Guru Sadhu Shastra and being consistent with it. Back to the Saralata example. Simplicity, and just stay with it. That's just one thing. Krishna should be pleased. And I'm not there yet. That's okay. One thing. And you'll get there. That's our bhakti process. Okay, I think we should end. Anything on the ladies' side? The ladies have been a little silent. Jai Subhadra, you got something? No. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki, Sri Ramachandra ki, or Pimanandi.